Hello guys, welcome back to another episode here on African Confessions. So I'm going to share with you this other message that I received on my WhatsApp number. The message reads like this: hello my brother, can you please post for me as anonymous? Make sure that you will never reveal my number. Okay, this is what happened to me. When me and my wife, we got divorced. The main reason why we got divorced, it was because of my attitude and my anger towards her. Because with so many years in marriage, she had failed to give me a child. So I kept on accusing her until I openly accused her that she had been taking family planning pills behind my back. This was the final straw in our marriage. The day that I screamed at her, telling that you have been taking family planning pills behind my back, that is why you can't fall pregnant, she just cried and she started to pack her bags. I stopped her, but she told me that after this there cannot be anything, because I've clearly seen that you don't love me at all. I have tried to do all that I can to give you a child, but it seems as if God has just decided that you and we cannot have a child together. You still remember that soon after our wedding, it was your relatives that started with this accusation. They used to tell me that I am taking family planning pills. That is the reason why I am not falling pregnant. I cannot believe that after all these years that you and we used to kneel together, we used to pray together so that God can grant us a child. But today you have turned your back on me. Now you stand to accuse me, saying that I am taking family planning pills. So she packed her bags and she just left like that. That is how I destroyed my marriage. So when me and my wife got separated, and once our divorce was finalized, I just wanted to prove a point to her and also to her relatives that their daughter had been taking family planning pills. So I became so reckless when it came to women. I would go out, meet all kinds of women, whether they were girls, some of them were married women, some of them they were even young enough that if I had a child, they'll be young enough to be my own daughters. I didn't care. All that I wanted is just to prove a point to my wife and to her relatives that their daughter had been taking these family planning pills behind my back, but the child never came. I would sleep with different women using no protection at all. When I started this journey that I am on right now, I used to date older women. Some of them were older than me, some were in my own age group. So when I realized that all of these women that I was having unprotected sex with, none of them were falling pregnant, and I slept with a lot of women. So what I'll do is that while we're having sex in the beginning, I would wear a condom, and if I see that maybe she's starting to enjoy, then I'll remove the condom and I'll just pretend as if the condom had burst. Some of these women, they didn't mind, would have unprotected sex from day one until we just leave this dating thing. But from all the women that I have slept with, the ones that I can count that I had unprotected sex with them, I think they are in the range of 60 to 65 women. Those are the women that I still remember, and I'm not counting the women that I'll go out at night, then we can do something like an exchange, that I give you money, then you give me sex. These are the women that I'll approach, get a number, then we'll start to date. Some of these women, they were married women and they didn't even mind to have unprotected sex with me. Then some of them, they were single. They will believe each and every word that I'll be telling them, because each and every woman that I went into bed with, if we were going to have unprotected sex, I'll be telling them things like, if you give me a child, I'm going to offer you the best life. So these single ladies, if you just tell them something like that, they were prepared to have a child with you, but it just didn't work out. Then also I was dating other women who were cheating on their boyfriends. This was the way that I was living my life. So at that time I was having a good paying job, so I could afford this lifestyle. My brother, if I tell you that there were times that I would have unprotected sex with 3 different women on a single day. So I used to keep a diary so as to not confuse myself on who was going to come. And also lucky enough at that time, time I was staying in a gated community, so those women, they couldn't just come and show up at my doorstep. I had to tell the security at the gate that they should let that person in, or I had to go and collect them at the gate. Then I'll come, then we'll do our thing, then I'll just dismiss them, then I'll wait for my next victim. My brother, this happened I think for something like 2 years. Then I became sick. I went to the doctor. Then I found out I had an STI, and also I had been infected by the HIV virus. So I started taking my medication. After that, I also lost my job. Then I started to struggle a lot, and no baby was coming. So I found out that my wife had been impregnated by someone that I didn't know. It was like the most painful thing in my life, because everyone knew that my wife was now pregnant. So everyone was just talking that I was the one who had the problem. I was the one who could not make a woman fall pregnant. And for a man, that is like the most embarrassing thing that can ever happen to you. When I heard the news that my wife was pregnant, it was like a rock had been smashed against my heart. There was no reason for me to live anymore. So I attempted suicide. After I had recovered from this suicide attempt that I had done, then my relatives took me in because they were afraid that I was going to try and kill myself again. So one of my relatives then took me in. I still remember that there was this other uncle of mine. So what he used to do is that he used to come around, then he'll sit me down as a pastor trying to counsel me. He would tell me things like, you have to know that there is light at the end of the tunnel, and also God created you for a purpose. Whenever you'll speak with me in such a way, I would respond and say, Uncle, what greater purpose is there in life? Isn't it that every living creature has a purpose, that the day that it dies, it leaves its own kind behind? And when I would respond to him in that way, I would see that his eyes will be filled with tears, because he wouldn't know what to tell me next. Then he would just say, it is okay, it is well with God, anything can happen. But when I would look at my own situation, it was so clear that God had decided that I shouldn't be a happy man, because the way that me and my wife got divorced and then she fell pregnant, it was like the worst thing that had ever happened in my life. So after that, I just became so reckless. I actually was kicked out of my relative's house because it was just too much. I didn't care about life anymore. I used to drive a very beautiful sports car at that time. So I saw that since I wasn't working anymore and I was just surrounded by this dark cloud, nothing good was coming my way. So I told myself that this car, I cannot afford to maintain it anymore. So one day I just put it up on Facebook, on the Facebook marketplace. Then within hours, I had a lot of people communicating with me. So this other guy, he told me that he wanted us to meet. I told him that you can come over to my place. Then he said, no, let us meet somewhere where it is safe for you and me. So in town, there is this place whereby there is a safe station, and right next to the filling station, there is a police station. So he told me that you can come over into town, then we'll just meet there by the police station so that I can view the car. Then at that time, that was like my last money. I just had something like money that was enough to put in 3 liters of petrol. When I was at the safe station giving the petrol attendant money just to pour in 3 liters of petrol into a very luxurious car, that guy was so amazed and he just kept quiet. But I saw that from his reaction, he didn't expect that such a beautiful car, one can just pour in 3 liters of petrol. So I waited for that guy at the police station and he never came. Here I was sitting in my car looking outside. It was already getting late, and I asked myself, where the hell was I going to get any money to put more petrol into this car? Because this car, when it comes to fuel, it does use a lot of fuel, and I didn't have any money. So as I was sitting telling myself that I'm such a fool to believe someone from Facebook that they were going to meet me in town, then they'll make a decision whether to buy the car or not, because this guy, he had promised me that after viewing the car, he wanted to do a road test and maybe he will pour in some fuel for the road test. So I knew that I was going to have some fuel to drive back home, and I was just banging the car seat because I was so angry that this guy had made a fool out of me. As I was sitting there just angry at myself, then this other woman approached me. She was holding a lot of flyers. There are these women that go around town giving flyers and also those newspapers from different supermarkets. Then she approached my car. At first I wanted to tell her to get the hell off because I was so mad at myself. But then I thought that maybe this woman, I can actually sell her my cell phone, then I'll just pour in petrol, then I'll drive back home, because right now I didn't have any use for my cell phone anymore. I was just a lonely man. So when she approached me, she gave me this flyer. Then I just realized that it was just a church flyer. So when she gave me this church flyer, I was so rude towards her because she had just irritated me. Then she started to walk away. Then I remembered that this woman, maybe if I sell her my phone, at least she can give me some money so that I can drive back home. Then I'll make another plan. So I got out of the car. Then I ran towards her. Then I told her, Mama, the reason why I was so rude towards you, it was because there was this other guy on Facebook who told me that he wanted to see my car. So I just used my last money to come here into town. Now I don't have any fuel that will be enough for me to drive back home. So I don't want to be stuck in the middle of the road. Then I gave her my phone and I told her that if you want, at least I can hand you this phone of mine. Once I get the money, I'll call you. Then you give me back my phone. Then I will give you back your money. She looked at my phone and she said, you must be joking. Such a big phone. Do you know that with the salary that I'm getting, I can work at least something like 5 months before I can even afford to get this phone of yours? So what are you going to do? I paused for a little while and I looked at my phone. That phone was like the most expensive phone that was on the market at that time. And I looked at that woman. She was so poor that even if she lost that phone, there was no way that she was going to refund me the money that was worth for that phone. But at that time I was in a desperate situation. So I told her that right now I am a beggar, and a beggar doesn't have any choice to choose. So she gave me money. I think it was enough for 8 liters of petrol. After she had given me a money, I told her that wait here, let me rush to the car and get the charger. At that time I only had a USB cable, so I wanted to give her the phone and the USB cable because I didn't want that phone to die, like the battery to die. Then I won't be able to recover my phone, because I was actually planning that once I get home, I was going to get my laptop, at least find someone who can buy that laptop, then call that lady so that she can give me back the phone. So once I reached the car, I just grabbed the USB cable. My brother, here is the most confusing part about this story of mine, because from where I had parked my car to where this woman and we were standing whilst we were talking, it is less than a minute. So I just walked to my car, then I grabbed the USB cable. But when I turned around, that woman was just gone. I mean, in the place where we were standing, it is open because on the other side there is a police station. On this other side there is a petrol service station, and the other area, it is just plain. You can see everything that is happening. I looked around and that woman, I couldn't just even find her. What amazed me is that there were 2 police officers. They were out of their cars. They were standing there. They were just staring at me. And also people at the filling station, most of them, they were out of their cars. They were just looking at me. When I asked those police officers, because eventually they approached me, then I asked them, what is going on? Why are all of these people staring at me? Then they told me that you have been talking to yourself all this while. Have you been driving your car whilst you are high on drugs? Do you take any drugs? Have you been drinking any alcohol before? Is there anything that you want to tell us before we do a body search on you? I was so shocked because those 2 police officers, whilst they were approaching me, they actually had their guns in their hands. Then I knew that all this while people just thought that I was crazy. They didn't even see that woman. So I tried to protest, telling them that they were the ones who were crazy. I was right here speaking with this woman. Then those police officers grabbed me. Then they just pinned me on the ground. Then they put handcuffs on me. They just threw me at the back of their car. Then they went with me inside the police station. Whilst I was at the police station, they had to do an alcohol test on me. The lucky part part about it is that when these two police officers were trying to drive into the police station, there was something like a traffic congestion, so they had to park on the side of the road. Then they took me out. Then we walked into the police station on foot. So on the side of the police station, right inside the police station, there is an area that if you want a police clearance or an affidavit, you have to go there, then collect those papers. So whilst we were walking into the police station, this other friend of mine saw me. Then he walked towards me and he said, "What is going on? Why have you been arrested?" I just told him that, "Call this other friend of mine who is a lawyer. Tell him to come here right now. Otherwise, they're going to take me to the holding cells. I don't know why I've been arrested." So that guy then went and made a call. By the time that my friend came to the police station, I was already in the holding cells. I heard his voice as he was walking towards that cell where they were holding me up. He was telling the police officer that, "You should tell us in time that there is a new law where it is prohibited to talk to yourself." So then they came, then they opened me up. Then as we were walking out of the police station, I told him everything that had happened, but he just laughed and he said, "No one is ever going to believe that story of yours. If we are ever going to court and you tell that story, it's either a judge can give you a life sentence, you will never win a case with that story of yours." So I told him, "Okay, if you don't believe me, let us go to the safe station. Let us ask them so that at least we can see the video of the CCTV." So he agreed. We went back to the safe station. Then we went into the manager's office. Then he agreed to show us the footage that the CCTV camera had captured. So as the manager was playing for us that footage, I could actually see myself driving into the petrol station, reversing my car and parking at this parking space whereby you can park whilst you are at the safe station. But what amazed me is that I actually told my friend and this manager and said, "Wait, you are going to see that woman that I'm talking about." But mysteriously, the whole scene was not captured by the cameras. The only time that I can see myself is next when I am speaking to myself, then the two police officers approaching me, then pinning me to the ground. I tried to explain to them that, but that woman is the same woman who gave me the money. When I left home, I didn't have any money at all. So how can I explain this money that I have? But my friend and the manager just said to me, strange things happened. I asked them and I said, "Why is this footage skipping some of the scenes that I'm telling you?" Because there is a brief time whereby this footage is skipping. What happened there? But the manager told me that you cannot force the camera to show you things that didn't happen. Then we left the manager's office. As we were walking towards my car, I told my friend that, "Come and I'll show you something," because I knew for a fact that at the passenger seat of my car, that is where I had dropped that flyer that woman had given me. So I gave my friend my car keys and I said, "Okay, you go and check on the passenger seat. I know that that is where I put that flyer. If I go with you into the car, you will think that maybe I have put that flyer right now. So just go and check." So he went and he unlocked the car and he checked the passenger seat. But my brother, there was nothing. He just looked at me and he said, "There is nothing in the car." The moment that he told me about this flyer, I knew that if I keep on telling him that I had seen this woman who had given me that flyer, everyone was going to think that I was crazy. So I just stopped talking. He tried to tell me that everything was going to be fine, because he told me that, "You know what is going to happen? Let me drive you home right now. Me and my wife, we're going to come back, then we'll take your car, then we'll bring it at your house." I told him, "Okay, take this money, at least you can fill it up with petrol." And he said, "No, I'm just going to put full tank for you so that at least you can have peace of mind. I know what you're going through. I know what happened after your divorce." As he was driving me home, he told me that he was going to book some therapy sessions for me, because he told me that there was this other guy whom he knew, he was a good therapist. I just agreed. Even when I went for those therapy sessions, I kept on agreeing with whatever that therapist was telling me. He was telling me that whatever you saw was not there. So So I knew that if I say that, no, you are wrong, I saw what I saw, then he was going to diagnose me as someone who is mentally unstable. So I just pretended as if I had seen things because I was so much under stress. After this incident had happened, I told myself that let me pull up my socks. So what I did is that I took my CVs, then I started to drop them in different companies, hoping that maybe something will come along the way. Then there was this other night, I had a dream, and in this dream, it was that woman again, but she was holding my CV and she was submitting that CV at the company that I am working for right now. When I woke up, it was in the middle of the night. I just sat in bed and I told myself, now I am officially a crazy person. I just have to go to the hospital so that they can give me medication. Now I'm just a crazy person. And I told myself that you should never tell anyone about this woman, because the moment that you tell them that you are now seeing this person in your dreams, they will say that now you are crazy. So I just kept quiet. But after a few days, I saw a message on my phone. It was a message telling me that on the given date and time that was written on that message, I had to show up at the offices in time. Then I'll ask for the human resource manager for my interview. So I went there. When that date arrived, I told myself that maybe it was going to be something like a lot of people will be interviewed for the same job like what companies do. When I arrived at the company's office, I quickly realized that it was only me who was there for the job. The rest of the people, they were clients. They will come, then they will leave, they will come, then they will leave. So I waited in that reception area for something like 3 hours or so, since morning when they opened up until somewhere around 11 a.m. Then the human resource manager showed up. The moment that she saw me, she was like, oh, I should have told the receptionist that she was supposed to show you your new office. So I was amazed that, but this woman, she hasn't given me the interview. Now she's telling me that I already have an office. So we walked into that office. Then she told me that, look, I have to rush into this very important meeting. Anyway, congratulations. She told me this as she was walking out of the door. Then she told me that there is this IT guy who is going to come and walk you through our system. Then she just left. Up until today, I never had an interview, and that is how I got my current job. So this woman, I only dreamt of her whilst she was holding my CV, and I have never met her in my life. The strange thing that happened, my brother, is that whilst I was working at that company, there was this other young woman who was dating, like this young woman that I told you in the beginning of my story, that I was dating a lot of women. So this woman is in her first year of university. So recently, me and her, we had unprotected sex like always. My brother, as I am writing you this message, I don't know what to feel. I am sad, I am scared, I am nervous, I am happy, all of these feelings at once, because this young lady that I told you about, she told me that for the past 2 months, she didn't want to tell me because she was not sure, but now she's quite certain that she is pregnant. So I just texted her and I said, oh, lucky you, who is the lucky father? And she was like, who the hell do you think might be the father? Because as far as I know, you are the only guy that I have past 7 months. My brother, when she told me these words, I went on my knees and I started to cry, because I remembered those words that I was told by my uncle, that God has a purpose and there was going to be a light at the end of the tunnel. Each and every day now, when I go back on my knees, I don't say anything. I just kneel down and I cry before God, because the words that I said in my heart, the words that I spoke against God, I just don't deserve to utter any word when I am before God. My brother, this is my current situation. I don't know if God is going to forgive me for all the words that I uttered against him and against his son, Jesus Christ. Yo guys, that was a story from our dear brother right there. Quite a story, quite a story. Let us meet again in the following episode.